Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Extra Time presented by N90 Minutes. Uh, Back to the OG crew this week, just Luke and I. Um, just gonna kind of pick up where we left off last week with the kind of the process of a rebuild. Just to kind of recap what we went over last week. Um, how we went over kind of the beginning processes of the rebuild, kind of and then that led into who we want to see come in over the summer. We started with the transfers that we brought in, especially the three young Brazilians, um, and kind of what caused them to be you know put right to the fire, which obviously wasn't doesn't seem to be what the plan was. Um, so basically just pick that up. We'll just, kick right off with kind of who we think is not going to be here, who should be sold in the summer transfer window. Um, I'll let Luke go ahead and kick it off. Kind of gave him the heads up before we
Yeah,
started about it, obviously. So yeah, go ahead.
I think it's going to be like a complete different rebuild. Like if you think about it, we look at the season we've had. Unless they, well, so far, of course, and then we're going to have like everything going on with that. But you look at the team we have, and the players that we've recruited are most likely the players that are going to go because they've not panned out the way we think they were. Like, I'm looking at Iago, Marin, like definitely. Um, Dorsey, maybe. I don't know. We might. What do you think about Dorsey? What do you
I
think?
think we'll get rid of him.
You think we'll
Um,
get rid of him? Yeah.
and to go back to what kind of David G said last week, and he took the words right out of my mouth. Iago and Tiago, and I'm blanking on the midfielder that
What?
we brought
Hey,
in. No, the other one. Hold on, I'll find him.
what's his name? The other midfielder. Well, he
His
can't be
name
that important if you can't.
Luis Otavio. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
Um, those three were, we kind of use Otavio the way that we were supposed to be using or plan to use Iago and Tiago. Kind of come off the bench. Um, you know, we had that transfer, the center back transfer that fell through literally on the final day that he was going to be flying to Orlando to sign. Um, he got a knock. He got an injury in training, and we pulled out of the deal. None of those young Brazilians, David G and I believe, were ever supposed to be key contributors this season because they're U22 players. You bring them in to kind of develop. Obviously, Tiago being kind of the outlier there because he's 2 years older. I think at this point, age wise, he's 3 years. Number wise, he's 3 years older because he just turned 22. Or no, that was Otavio. Sorry, but Tiago, is older than the other two. Has a little bit more experience at a higher level than Iago. Um, so they were never part of the plans. They were kind of, especially Iago was forced into action because of our lack of depth, which is a whole nother can of worms that we could open up. But the lack of depth at center back that we have. Think about it. One of our starting lineup against LAFC was Iago and Nolan Miller, a 19-year-old and a guy that was in college 6 months ago. So those guys were never really supposed to be thrust into you know, put into the fire immediately. They were supposed to be slowly put in, let themselves develop and adapt to being into new country and a new league. Um, So that's where we are with them. But yeah, as far as Dorsey, I don't think we're not spending that much gam on a player just to for him to play, a couple months, 3-4 months with us, and then let him go.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. But in a season so bad, I was like, I thought, what was his name? Thiago Souza, the striker.
Yeah, Tiago
I think we might keep.
Carvajal.
I think we
Paul,
will keep him.
what's
Um,
that?
I think we will keep him. I
Yeah, I
was
mean, I
wrong.
don't think any of the guys we brought in the offseason we're going to get rid of
I
in the
was
summer.
wrong. I was wrong about him, and I'll hold my hands up. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about him. I feel like he's quite a useful player, and even when we've been playing a bit crap, he's been doing all right. He's not been doing terribly. He's kind of been a bright spot in a really, really bad team. Like you've got people who's putting up like really, really awful performances, and he tends to just kind of be a bit of a not 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 what would you call it, John? Not a, the least worst.
Yeah,
He tends to be just kind of play his own game again, which is what he is. He tends to just play his own game, which works out for him at the moment. So I would say keep him definitely. I think he's done really well. So um, he's proved me wrong.
again,
Um, when I
he's
saw
he's a
him,
player we brought in the offseason. You're not going to spend the money we spent on the young Brazilians for them to play a couple months and say screw it, they're not here. They're not going to do anything. I mean, look at Nico Rodriguez. We gave him, and to me, he was nowhere near the player either of these three are. We gave him an entire season with us before we sent him out on loan.
yeah,
I know he was one of your favorite players that we've ever brought in.
yeah, more haircuts than goals or appearances. He was a very interesting player. That guy, very interesting recruitment strategy.
Um, yeah, is there anybody that we didn't sign in the offseason that you think will or should go?
What do you mean? Hmm. Like
That
somebody.
we should be marketing to other clubs, whether it be internationally
The
or inside
players
of
that
our
we
own league.
have that we should be like saying you should have him. Is that
Yeah,
what you're trying to say?
yeah,
Um, like offload. Sorry.
yeah. Offload. Yeah, certain players we should offload, sell, however you want to put it.
Interesting. I don't know. Spicer. Do we keep Spicer?
We did just sign him to.
We did just sign him. You're right. So no,
We
we're
did
gonna.
just sign him or sign him to an extension or sign him permanently.
So hold on.
Marin maybe.
Oh, absolutely. We should start
Brecalo.
advertising him. He's the best left back. You should start advertising him as the best left back you've ever seen.
Brecalo, I think, is on his way out in the summer. Personally,
You think so?
yeah, he hasn't shown it as a center back, and that's what we brought him in to do is to be a center back, and he hasn't shown it. I think personally, I think Atuesta, with as much as we're paying him, I think Atuesta may be on his way out. Definitely after the season.
Yeah.
And then the question mark that we kind of talked about a little bit last week is Marco. You know, he had a great first, 25 games for us last season,
Yeah.
and then hasn't really done anything. Has been very one dimensional. You know, really just wants to cut in on his left foot and whip something in. You know, and try to put a shot in from outside the penalty
He's a
area
bit
to right
one
on the edge.
dimensional now. People
Yeah,
kind of figured him out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you know,
Like I believed he was a great player when he came in, but people didn't know who he was. So of course he was a great player. But since people can figure it out, he's like, he showed his limitations. People thought he was going to be like he's going to the Premier League, stuff like that. But then, once you get your wrappers up and you people figure it out, then you know it's over for you.
I think the player that I'm surprised isn't on that list that I thought if you told us we were going to have, you know, at the beginning of the year that we had to start that we've had and have struggled to score goals. I would have thought Angulo would be on that list, and right now he's a player you can't get rid of because he's been, you know, one of the few bright spots on the team in the attack. You know, covered for Marion a lot on that left side. Uh, you know, but then again, he has his moments like he had on Sunday where it costs you. You know, whether it's a silly turnover in your defensive third or you know a couple seconds of laziness that keeps a player on side.
Yeah, we need players that want to play for this club. Again, we need players where I'd rather have a streaky player than a consistent. We've settled with mediocre consistency, like Marin, like Iago, who are like players who are mediocrely consistent. Like, I'd rather have a player who has a really great game and a really bad game because at least we get a really great game out of him. But like Iago and Marin and players like that, you know, they're very consistently mediocre where those mistakes happen every game or every other game or it's very consistent that these mistakes and these flaws are happening. So that's just my opinion on it, where we've just signed a lot of like where we needed to sign people like Spicer, for example, who is hungry. We've signed players who are like Marin. That's just my opinion on it. Who
Yeah, I
signed?
mean, you know, bringing Iago's tough because, like I said, he's younger than you are.
Is he?
Um, he's only 20,
Yeah, he's young.
and he has limited senior team minutes from when he was in Brazil. You know, he comes in and you know, it's a new country, new league, doesn't really speak the common language here. You know, I mean, yesterday, Sunday, you know, for those, obviously this comes out on Wednesday, we're recording on a Monday. On Sunday, he had, you know, visually and per foot mob, his best performance.
Yeah.
You know, he had a 7.1. Other than that was the Montreal match where he had a 6.9. Um, you know, he had obviously the really bad match against LAFC where he was playing. Seemed like he was playing left back, which you know, Luke, you played center back. There's certain center backs that can play fullback. There's certain center backs that
Yeah.
can't. He's one of them. You just look at him physically. That guy should never see the outer
Yeah,
third,
he
outer
shouldn't. He
quarter.
shouldn't. You're right. He shouldn't see the outer because he's just not built for it. Some players aren't, and some players are. Some players can play left back, and some players can play right back and centre back, but other players can't. It's not them.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, one of the guys that's surprisingly been poor this year is Brecalo.
Yeah. And even then, he's been our bright spot in the team. But that just, I'm gonna be
Um,
honest with you, that just shows the landscape of how this season's going. Is that even great players that we have are being real? It's the I think again, it's down to the institution.
yeah. Brekalo
It's
has
absolutely down.
three
Like we know how great Brecalo can be
as a left back.
as a left back. You know,
He's never done anything as a center back to impress me. And
no,
it's also interesting that when he goes and plays for his national team, he plays left back.
yeah,
But for some reason, we've heard that he has basically told the club he's not playing left back this year. Now, yesterday, Sunday, he did with three center backs with him, Janssen, and Iago. Him and Iago both looked a lot more comfortable playing with a third center back than they have really the entire season. He did. They just did. They look comfortable. You know, they didn't make any mistakes when we were we had the three center backs. Um, so I think, even though we really have no depth, Nolan Miller's the next guy on the bench with those three in. But again, I think Brekalo, as far as our center backs are concerned, would be the odd man out because you have two that you brought in this year, a draft pick and a transfer, and you can't get rid of Janssen because he showed yesterday that he's unreplaceable at this time. Even still, coming first match back after an injury, the
I'm
team
gonna be honest with you. I thought he was
first,
done.
yeah,
You know, he's like the Undertaker. If that makes any sense. Like as soon as you think he's down and out, he's back, and then um he's doing stuff that you don't think he's able to do because he's come back from such a long injury.
hmm
But he plays centre back as well, so I guess like it does take a lot of physicality to say the least, but it's not like he's playing striker.
yeah, or winger.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the type of center back that Janssen is too. He's not your, especially the last couple seasons. He doesn't make the runs that he used to do with the ball. He doesn't step up, like Schlegel like to, or like Brekalo likes to. But he's just, yeah. I mean, the way the team looked Sunday to begin the match was a night and day difference from any match they've looked this season. And the only thing that really changed was Janssen being in the lineup.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, really, I think my personal list of players that I think we should at least try to, we have to have the replacements in place first because it's the middle of the season. But the three players I think we have to try to get rid of is Atuesta at this moment. Atuesta, Brekalo, and as much as I like him as a player, Pasalic. Those are the three players. Pasalic, I just feel kind of what Facundo turned into, extremely one dimensional.
He was always like that though, Torres.
To begin with, he wasn't as much.
Yeah, but he always had that in him.
Yeah. Atuesta, he's not the player he was a year ago. That showed yesterday, that showed against LAFC. He might be, if he's the best midfielder we have, doesn't matter what coach, what center back, what left back we bring in. If he's the best center midfielder we have, we're in a world of hurt. And then Brekalo, obviously, we just talked about. Did he have like 3 or 4? Any different than anybody different than who I just said?
So you said who again?
Pasalic, Atuesta, and Brecalo.
To get rid of?
So yeah, try to move off of this year. Yeah,
Um,
this summer.
is Angulo still with us? Gonna say Angulo?
You think Angulo, even though he's been one of
Yeah,
the bright spots this
yeah,
year?
yeah. I know he's been a bright spot, but I still just I don't. I'm not fully convinced by him still. I know Angulo, but like I get it. It's a bit of a wild card and a bit of a wild take, and I know he's done well, but I'm still not fully convinced by Angulo. I'm just not. And then um, I can back the other two with Atuesta and who was the other one? Not Pasalic, but the other guy.
Brecalo.
No, Pasalic. Get rid of him. I'm backing Brecalo to the death.
But do you have anybody other than Pasalic or Atuesta?
Yeah, I'm still backing getting rid of Angulo. I think he's got an attitude problem.
Yeah, that I would agree with.
I
And the
don't like.
reason I didn't put
I don't like players with attitude problems. I don't seriously. I feel like they're untrustworthy. I get it. He's great on the pitch. Love it. He's been fantastic. I'm not doubting that, and I'm not doubting his excellence he's done this season. But players with attitude problems, that affects their style on the pitch. And as soon as he gets pissed off, or as soon as he gets, just a little bit angry about something, he'll switch off. I think he'll be. And then next thing you know, he's out for mentally. He's out for about 8 weeks.
yeah.
I don't need that in my team. I think he's a great player, but I don't like players like that. So if I was to name one, Angulo's the first one that would come to mind. You know,
No, I agree with you on that. I mean, since we're on it, do you think that's something that can be changed with Griezmann coming in
no.
and potentially a new manager?
Respectfully, no. Prove me wrong, right? I always say prove me wrong, but respectfully, no. I think some players just have it and some players don't. Some players have an attitude problem, and some players don't have do have an attitude problem. Some players don't. Wilfred Zaha, for example, no matter how great he has been, no matter what league he's played in Turkey, England, any of these leagues. No matter how great that guy has been, or how great, quote unquote, he's not been that.
Good.
No, a good. Yeah, he is great. He played in the top league in a good team. Um, he had an attitude problem. It's mainly the people he was hanging out with off the pitch, Nile Ranger, um, and players like that. But it just shows that the attitude never leaves you. It does. It's your character. It's less of a player problem, more of a character problem. So, yeah, that's my perspective on it. It can't change.
Fair
You
enough.
know,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know. It's about now. Is it about a manager that brings in that can manage that situation? Yeah, probably. There's probably a few managers out there in the world that can. Well, there's probably plenty of managers out there that can, like, manage it. But you know, soon come if we get a manager that can definitely get to a point where he's a strong figure and we know he's a strong figure, we'll see in a short amount of time. When I mean a short amount of time, I mean like 3 months, what would happen to players like Angulo. Because he'll either A, thrive, or B, leave. Because if you've got a strong character in that dressing room, he won't put up with it. Simple
mhm.
as. He won't. There's no chance he'll put up with it.
And you got to think Angulo came in after Nani.
He did come in after Nani, and Nani was an absolute menace. Like, he wouldn't have put up with any of that. So
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, real quick, just to defend myself a little bit, because I know people watching this are probably screaming, either at their speakers or at their screens right now, saying, "Well, what about Marin?" He would be a quality backup. He is not a starter.
no,
He would be an okay backup to have on the bench to come in, in case of emergency type of deal, or late in a match, to lock
30
it down.
minutes. He's a
What's that?
30-minute player. Or like
Yes.
he was
So
never just
that's why I didn't include him. Um, you know, Somebody like Atuesta, we have players that can play that position. Pasalic, we have players that can play that position, and it's easily attainable to get a player that'll contribute as a right winger. Um, and I also feel like, and based on things that a bunch of people are hearing, not just myself, is that the manager that we'll be getting prefers to play a 3-5-2, what we saw on Sunday. So that kind of makes Pasalic an odd man out because, yes, he scored a goal on Sunday, but he's not, especially with Griezmann in there, that's not going to be a good fit for Pasalic because we don't need two guys tucking underneath of each other because eventually they tuck underneath each other enough, they're going to be behind our midfielders.
Unfortunately, we're in a footballing world where managers are the be all and end all of their team. So if Pasalic does not fit the team, he doesn't fit the team. The manager's
Yeah.
not going to start somebody that doesn't fit his style of play. No matter how much we love him, no matter how much, you know, what goes on.
I think if Pasalic does move on, whether if the club forces him out, or if if he causes it to happen, um, you know, I want to see us get a midfielder, a dominating number 8 type, a Tuesta like he was with LAFC. Somebody, and I'm not saying Garnacho or whoever has been rumored. I want somebody that fits what it seems like Ricardo is trying to
God,
build, somebody that fits that mold better.
yeah, Garnacho.
That's been rumored that we're in the. Isn't that the Man United player?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
young guy.
No, he's older, isn't he?
No, Garnacho's the young kid.
Oh, the older, whatever the older one is, the Brazilian.
Casemiro.
Casemiro,
Oh,
thank you.
yeah. Sorry, confused me.
Sorry, I confused. Yeah, Casemiro. Sorry. We don't need to bring him in. I don't want to see him on our club. He doesn't represent what our club is. We are our era of having players with issues was in 2017 and 2018. Um, you know, I don't think we need we need somebody that can pass the ball in midfield consistently. Brian Ojeda's done an excellent job.
He
But
has done
what
it.
I've seen from Atuesta, and this is no offense to Gusky, you're still 18, 19 years old. You have plenty of time to play and to learn. And maybe I would be thrilled if it is Gusky, and we just don't we sign another winger to a designated player contract. And Gusky, when he's played, has looked the part. But to me, especially in a 3-5-2, in order to be a competitor, we have to sign a dominating center back or a center midfielder. Sorry. I
Yeah,
don't know what you think of that, Luke, but
I
that's
agree with you. I love every single successful team has a good centre back.
No,
No,
I'm saying midfielder,
you want a good midfielder.
center
Well,
midfielder. Yeah.
that's right. You look at Chelsea in 2017. They had N'Golo Kante. You know, he ran the show. No, 2016. Sorry, because Leicester won the league in 2015. You look at him. You know, he was the dominating midfield player, the guy that ran the show, the guy that everything played under. But he was an absolute phenom. I'm not saying that definitely he's the type of player we should get. We should absolutely get someone like that though. You know, we every good team has a great spine of the team. A team that has good strikers, good midfielders, and good centre back and a good goalkeeper as the spine of your team. Every good team needs that. Every great team has it. So as long as we complete the spine of our team, everything else will work out. Everything else will click. Simple as. You
And we
know,
already have, at least this year, we already have the good striker that's coming in.
yeah. Which is
We have the good center back in Janssen.
yeah.
And honestly, I'm not gonna back off the bandwagon until I'm proven wrong. We have the center back of the future, meaning next year, the year after, and Iago.
Yeah. I think
Because
we
you got to
should.
think too, Luke. I mean, you played center back, as a youth. At the professional level, center backs usually come into their own a little bit later than the rest of
They've
the
got a
field.
longer career.
Yeah, and they come into their own too,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of the mental aspect of being a center back that most other positions don't have.
Well, strikers have to worry about themselves, right? That's
Hmm.
what strikers have to do. With your work, it's almost like you've got a co-worker. You know, your co-worker is you've got multiple co-workers around you. You know, you've got your right back, which is like, you have to worry about him if he's doing his job. Then you've got your goalkeeper who's yelling at you all the time about something. Then you've got your other set. Then you've got your main co-worker who's your other centre back, and you're talking to him all the time. So centre back's a very difficult job. Plus, you can see the entire field. You know,
At least 90% of it. Yeah.
90% of it. The only thing you can't see is the goalkeeper behind you. But
So
that's
you look at the players that like reach when players reach their peak as a center back. It's usually around the age between 28 and 30.
yeah.
You look at most of the other positions, it happens a couple years, depending on the player, a couple years younger than that. You look at most recently Van Dyke, who a couple years ago was at his peak. He's what 32, 33 now. He was at his peak as a 30-year-old. So the center back's a position that progresses, at least as an individual player, much slower than the other positions. You're not going to see us unless it's a once in a lifetime player. You're not going to very rarely see a dominating 17-year-old center back.
No,
You're not
centre
going to
backs
see.
take a very, very long time to get where they need to be. They have to have a lot of experience. The thing is, right, is strikers score goals and they know how to score goals. It's an instinct for them. But to play with a centre back, they need games. They need games to
Mhm.
get into it. They need to get they're very systematic, pragmatic players. So with that, the only way to get good is to play games.
Mhm.
So
But yeah, I mean that. So I think our spine's there minus a midfielder. Brian Ojeda's, like I said, done okay. Martin Ojeda is
he's
not a
done
number
exactly how I thought he would be.
8. Yeah,
But go ahead, sorry.
he's a good second midfielder,
Yeah,
second number, second a number 6.
we've had a lot of
Um,
players who thought they were going to play and they didn't, and a
yeah,
lot. Yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
and you got to think Martin Ojeda was playing as a number 8 and attacking number 8 yesterday.
Yeah.
But for those people, I saw it on social media. A couple of people say, where was Tincho at during the match? He was playing a position I said it on the main show. He's playing a position I don't think he's ever played in his professional career.
No, he's not. And that's still so difficult. You just have to think of it tactically. Stop thinking it. I know it's difficult if you've never played the game before, and but think of it in the sense of as a player, like you're getting thrown into a position you've never played before, and it's a lot different than the position that you play, like Ojeda and stuff like that. I know they're professionals and they should adapt quickly, but at the same time, it's very difficult for them to adapt. Iago's young. That's a massive factor. He's playing in a massive league. Like, this is a strong league to play in. And it's tough. The heat is flipping mad.
I
So,
mean, you even go back a couple of years ago when Mueller came into the league, and this is a guy that's played in the Bundesliga, top five league, one of the most physical leagues,
yeah.
probably the second most physical league next to the Premier League. And this was what, 2016, 2018, somewhere around there when he came
Yeah.
into the league. And he even said that what surprised him was the physicality, of the league. How, one, the speed that the players play at, and two, how physical they are. And when you have somebody of his caliber saying that, and that was years ago, and we've talked on this show and on the main show how how fast the MLS has progressed as a league. It speaks miles. I mean, Iago, you know, is going to struggle. They knew that when they signed him. That's why they signed him, planning for him to be a backup, and it hasn't worked out that way. He's been thrown to the fire, and you've seen outside of the LA game that he's progressed, and that's what you want out of a young player that's thrown to the fire. You're not expecting a young player to be perfect from day one. You're looking for that progression, and I mean, you look at his stats, and he truly has.
Yeah.
Outside. Let me rephrase it. Outside of the Nashville and LA game, he truly has progressed. He started with Red Bull. He had, according to FootMob, he had a 6.0 rating. Against Miami, he had a 6.5. Against Montreal, he had a 6.9. Then he had just whole defense had the two rough matches against Nashville and LAFC. And then against Columbus Crew, and again, LAFC, Iago was playing as a left back, which he should never do. And then you look at against the Crew, he had a 7.1 rating.
Yeah.
Our best rated defender by FootMob. So, he's shown the progression. He's shown there was a play yesterday on Sunday that he showed that I was surprised by his speed, which was good to see because that was one of the first things we said about him after the New York match was how slow he was. And honestly, he's on the match Sunday. He's our fourth highest rated field player.
That's saying something.
Paslic had a 7.4. Thiago had a 7.6. Dorsey had a 7.1. And he are third rated, I guess, tied for third rated best field player. Our highest on the match was Crepeau at 7.8, which you never want to see your goalie be your highest rated player.
Yeah.
You want that goalie to
You
have
never ever want your goalkeeper. Well, no, that's not necessarily true, but you never ever want your goalkeeper to make 6 saves. Like, you look at the heat map of Crepeau, and he's been busy. He's been a busy boy.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Patrick Schulte, he had 0 saves. I mean, does that show he's a good goalkeeper? Yeah, it does show he's a good goalkeeper.
I wouldn't say he's a quality goalkeeper.
No, but it showed he had a good game.
Yeah.
Do we want him to take that many shots? No, 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 we don't.
My point is you look at your point, you look at Schulte gave up the same number of goals as Kerpo, faced a lot less shots, faced a lot less shots on target, and he has a 6.2 rating. You always want your goalkeeper on foot mob. Generally, if you're going to have a good team, to have a 6 to a 6.5 rating.
Yeah, because he's not doing anything.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's just, it proves with how we've looked last year and this year. And I don't think Cartagena, when he comes back from his injury, is going to fix everything.
No.
But it proves that we need a midfielder and that plays as a number 8.
Yeah.
Plays as the number 8 is going to control the game, control the pace of the game, and a player that we can trust in the center of the pitch that's not going to turn the ball over, leading to a potential counter by the other team, which is what we've seen a lot with Atuesta. We need to see a player that's not afraid to shoot it as a midfielder from 20, 25 yards out. There was one in move Atuesta, time Atuesta had the ball about, I think it was 23 yards out, give or take. And I'm sitting there thinking, throw a shot on. The keeper has had nothing to do in 25
Yeah,
minutes.
that's what you say. That's what I say all the time. It's like people do something stupid tactically and then ends up, you know, just take a shot. Like test the goalkeeper. Make sure we know he's there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And it keeps the defense honest, too. That means a player next time is going to have to step up, especially if it's a good, even if it's not, on a post. If it's a quality strike, that means you have it in you to put it into the back of the net, even if it's right at the, semi right at the keeper, if it's an easy-ish save. That means the next time you have the ball in that position, a defender's going to have to step up on you, which makes space for your attackers to make a run and potentially be unmarked. But for some reason, the last 2 years, the last goal I can remember us doing was Cartagena's against Nashville. The last goal like that a midfielder had. What was that? 20? That was 23. You remember the curler he had?
Oh yeah. The greatest goal I've ever seen. I could not believe my eyes.
I don't even think we celebrated. We just sat there and stared. Yeah.
Nobody gave him a license to shoot.
He just whipped it. He just said, I'm open. Nobody's on me.
Yeah, but like you could have had about 19, 20 goalkeepers in that goal, and yet nobody would have saved it.
No. I mean, that was, he hit it upper, hit it upper 90.
That
So
wasn't top bins, mate. That was beyond top bins. Like if there was ever a beyond top bins definition, it's that.
I think there was like 3 inches if you were to place a ball in that corner where it would have been more perfect in that corner. There was about 3 inches.
I'm picturing it now. Just I need it on a wall. I need it on like an e painting, like an electronic painting of it, just on a loop. Because that's
One
the
of the,
best goal I've ever seen in my life.
let's go show my age a little. One of the old holographic 3D ones where you move and it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's who I really want to see us. Outside of a left back and center back, who are true needs. Center back to really beef up the bench a little bit, especially if we get rid of Brecalo. And then we need a starting left back. I think Dorsey's good enough to be that the starting right back. Um, unless we play a 3-5-2, which we definitely need. With or without Brecalo, with Brecalo we need one. If we get rid of Brecalo, we need two center backs then.
Yeah.
But to me, if we play a 3-5-2, that also opens a spot more for Angulo then. Because that final product that we're always complaining about isn't so necessary, as a midfielder or a wing back, whatever one you want to call it. And he showed on Sunday and has shown in the past that he can play that midfielder role. And it honestly almost suits him a little bit better as well. I mean, the one goal we had was started with him and was very much a outside midfielder attacking move. I don't think he got within 20 yards of net.
Yeah.
Who would you like, other than the two obviouses of center back and left back? What specific position of player would you like to see us bring in the summer? Because last week we covered the type of player and everything.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. What did you say? A centre back and a left back?
Well, that's the obviouses. I said center midfielder.
A left winger? Tentatively knowing that, he's not going to play left wing, Griezmann?
If we're in a 3-5-2, there's no need for a winger, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, like I said, not just myself, but a lot of people that I've talked to.
I don't know. A goalkeeper. Maybe a goalkeeper. Maybe like a proven goalkeeper. Somebody who can convince me. I know Kripo's all right. I'm not doubting that. He's decent. But if the question was, if I was to bring in any position, I'd say a goalkeeper. Somebody who's like top class. Somebody who's like done that, been there, done that, got a job, like done a job around, plenty of experience, and wants to prove themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say a goalkeeper. Kripo's good. He's not the best, but if I was to bring in anyone, I'd bring in a goalkeeper.
So he's in the top 17%, almost 16% of keepers and saves. But you look at his save percentage, his goals conceded, his goals prevented. He's save percentage. He's in the 21st percentile, or I'm sorry, 82nd percentile, which is not good. Goals prevented. He's in the same percentile, 22nd. But he does have 0 errors that have led to a goal, which is good.
Yeah. That's Galese, which had.
I think last year he had 4.
Yeah, he had a lot. For a goal.
But then you also look at his passing percentage, which isn't good. That's by far his. I'm not including clean sheets and penalty saves because those are. Obviously he hasn't had any, so he's tied for the worst in the league.
Yeah.
But his successful passes, he's at 64.9%, which puts him in the 84th percentile, 83rd percentile, which is pretty bad. As well as accurate long balls at 35.7%, which also has to do, which is all more of a team stat. That just means we got guys that can't win the ball in the air as well. But the successful passes is really the worrying part for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, even then, you look at some of the goals that he's had to face, like the one he had to face Saturday. Very few keepers are stopping that one. While he made a couple saves that one on one that a lot of goalkeepers wouldn't have made. And even against LAFC, since it seemed like everything they had was going in, he made one or two good saves in the first half before I turned it off, where it was 1v1 against him, and then eventually Wonga figured him out and just chipped him. But, goalkeeper would be an interesting one. You know, which one do you think's more likely, a goalkeeper or a midfielder?
Midfielder.
Yeah.
I think the goalkeeper's just the one that I want personally, but it's definitely the midfield player that probably is the most likely. So yeah.
I don't know how many goalkeepers out there are really attainable
There's
by
not.
the
That's why I just said it. I was like, I
Yeah.
really want it, but like, there's the goalkeeper market's very small. So
Yeah.
you
I
asked me
mean,
what I wanted. I wanted a goalkeeper. Now it's just getting torn apart.
well, no, it's just
No, I
just,
know, I know. I'm just, I just want
I
to go.
mean, and goalkeeper's one of those positions too that I feel you bring a guy in, you know, like a Crepeau. I feel like if this was his second season with us, maybe we would be on the market for one.
No, it's his first season, so we'll give him.
But since it's his
We'll
first
cut
season,
him a
it
break.
makes it.
We'll cut
But
him
I agree, we could. That is a position that we definitely, if we had, all options were equal, that we should be looking at to
Yeah,
upgrade.
just improve in that department. So yeah,
I feel like the one person, that would make the biggest difference would be a midfielder.
that and a left back.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said left back and center
I know.
back are
I'm
the two
so
good.
sick, John, of these mediocre left backs. Like we're going around the world of one-dimensional left backs. We've got Marin, and then we've got Santos, and then we've got the last good left back we ever had was João Moutinho,
And he was always injured.
and he was always bloody injured. That is a cursed position we've had. Is left back. If you've ever gone through and you've always said striker, then you're right. Because
Hmm.
I've always said striker. But if you look at it on paper, left back's been a really challenging position for us to get over.
Well, the only outside of Laren, the only saving grace that we've had at striker, I guess DK we have.
Raz.
Never mind.
We've been quite fortunate in the draft
Yeah.
department of strikers. We've got
Laren, DK, Maguire. Maguire only had 1 year, but
Larin, Daz, Maguire, um,
DK.
I already said that, DK. Um, draft picks.
He was
We
very
can't
fortunate.
sign strikers to save our lives. That seems like with us with strikers, signing strikers, we've just been the worst. The absolute worst.
See, I think
No, I'm sorry, I take that back, Enrique.
Enrique, yeah, he was a signing.
He was a signing of a striker, but he got bought out by the Saudis.
Oh, we sold him, but yeah, same
We
difference.
got
Because we were afraid. My understanding is that we were afraid that if we let him, we tried to sign him to an extension. He wanted like DP, almost
ridiculous
DP
money.
level money. So we were afraid if we let him go into this year, it was going to go into the summer, and then he was going to sign a pre-contract, and we'd get nothing for him, which obviously happened with Arujo. But we really thought that we were going to sign him back, and we just again wanted borderline DP money. We
Yeah,
went over it last week a little bit, but wanted borderline DP money, and then we just couldn't do that because you're not gonna. He wasn't to that level. Enrique was very close. I will say Enrique was close.
Enrique was. I miss him. I miss Enrique.
Yeah,
We got bought out by the Saudis. Can't compete with them, unfortunately.
because of our commissioner.
Yeah, because of a salary cap. Not even Premier League could compete with them sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, um,
Good news is supposedly he's retiring after this year,
yeah, he is.
which kind of makes me think that Messi will be leaving after this year.
He could be on his way out.
No, the commissioner said that he's retiring. I think it's at the end of this year. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. So, the whole rejoice of the MLS will be in a full swing of partying.
We'll see who they bring in. We know, U.S. soccer will have their hand in it.
Yeah,
Um, I'd like to see it be a former player. Um,
Landon Donovan. No, I'm joking.
what?
That was a joke. I said Landon Donovan.
No,
Really?
that's one player I wouldn't want to see a part of it. Some of the stuff he says on his podcast is like,
Idiot.
you just have no idea, you moron.
Yeah, but he's a footballer.
Exactly why everybody loved Dempsey and did not like you.
Yeah, but he's a footballer. Like footballers are stupid.
Hmm.
Like if they weren't football, like he's one of these guys. If they weren't footballers, what would they be? They wouldn't be
Hmm.
anything. Like
Yes, Kenny'd probably be a male supermodel, but
that's why he's a footballer because he's stupid.
no, I would like to see it be somebody that a former player be the commissioner. Obviously, it'd be from way back. Probably a former national team member. Trying to think. I mean, a name off the top of my head that comes. It'd be like a Kobe Jones possibly because I know he does stuff in administration with different clubs.
Yeah. Remind me who Kobe Jones. Let me hold on.
He was like the star of the league back in the '90s. Had the
Oh yeah, I saw him.
floppy dreads.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, one that wouldn't be bad.
Chris Mueller. Sorry, I just threw a random name out there.
Yeah, no, one that wouldn't be. I'm finding what I want. Marcus Beasley, more recently. Potentially would be somebody seems
Marcus.
to really understand everything. Huh?
If he wasn't an owner, right? If he was just if in a hypothetical universe, I know it's hypothetical. I just like throwing hypothetical scenarios out there sometimes. In a hypothetical universe, if he didn't own Miami and Miami never existed, I would have gone for Bex.
Yeah,
I would have gone for David Beckham. But we're not living in that hypothetical universe. But I think he would have been a great candidate for probably the MLS commissioner. But
probably.
other players, Tim Howard.
He could be one.
I think he's a great.
The reason I say DeMarcus Beasley, and it has very little to do with what he did on the pitch. It has to do because remember he retired and he came back for a couple of
Yeah,
years. His first retirement, um, I know somebody that lived in Fort Wayne, and his kids played for the local recreational league. And him and I were talking, and he this was several months later. Did you know they said that there was? He has no idea about the sport. They said one of the refs at my son's game, and mind you, his son was probably playing U9, U10, U8, somewhere around that level.
Yeah.
They said the referee of my son's game was like used to play for the national team or something. And I'm like, do you remember what his name was? He's like, he said some name. And like immediately I'm like, there's no way it was DeMarcus Beasley. And when I said that, he's like, that was his name. And I said, and so I looked it up, not knowing that's where that Beasley was from, Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
So the dude was out there in his retirement refereeing youth soccer matches, making $20 a match at best. This is a guy that could have been doing anything, and he was at the grassroots level, refereeing recreational soccer.
Yeah, get Tim Howard. Tim Howard would be a great shout.
Yeah, I think I like what Tim Howard says a lot, even though he's on the show with Donovan. I like what Tim Howard says a lot.
He's like he's like the flag bearer of the United States, in my opinion. And whenever I think of the United States men's team, I always think of Tim Howard.
Yeah.
So
That 20 match
a-
he had against, was it Belgium, was just, I've never seen it. I never have seen and probably never will see a individual performance like that on a soccer pitch
yeah,
that Tim Howard did.
like he's played like over 100 games in the MLS, over like 250 in like professionally in North America, something like that. So
We're
get him in.
complaining about our keeper having 6 saves. How many saves did Tim Howard have against Belgium?
I don't know.
16. The World Cup single match record.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens come the summer. Really, really, really hope that they do bring in a manager. It sounds, every indication I've heard makes it sounds like they're bringing in a manager. And then once we bring in a manager, it's seeing what type of players we're able to bring in. I would anticipate, and it seems like with the rumor that came out last week with Martial, that Griezmann will be doing some recruiting for us, or has started doing recruiting for us. Which could be a good thing for everybody but Luke.
Oh no. I can only imagine. It's a joke, by the way. It's a joke.
It's a joke. His British blood coming through his system.
It's a joke. I don't care who you are. If you're a great player and you want to play for this club, I don't care what nationality you are, apart from if you're Argentinian. That's again. Wait, hold on. That's a joke.
The asterisk of what he's saying is, as long as you're not Argentinian and French.
Yeah, which is where our team's going.
It's going more Brazilian than Argentinian.
Yeah, it is actually. But I don't mind. I actually do not mind Griezmann. I actually really like him. Like he's one of there was like a player where I think pick any player from a French national team as of recent to go in your team, I'd pick him all day. Him and Kante. But Kante's a bit older. I'm not allowed to. He's about 40 now.
Yeah.
I'd say.
If this was 6 years ago, I'd say.
If this was 6 years ago, I'd say Kante. Yeah. If you told me to pick a player from a team and you had said, "Hey, you're gonna get Antoine Griezmann," I would have said, "You're lying to me." That's how big of a player he is. So.
Well, and to me, it's not even about what he does on the pitch. It's also what he does off of it. You
No,
know, his time that we've
no,
heard.
no. I don't.
No, the time that we've heard with the older player coming in, the amount of money we're spending. You know, I don't know the stories you've heard or not, Luke, but like he spends time with the academy players or at the academies, you know, mentoring kids and stuff like the kids and stuff like that, more than making an official club appearance and stuff like that. Because we've talked about it, we need somebody that's going to take the young guys under their wing and kind of show them how it's supposed to be.
You're thinking about it too much, I think, and I'm gonna push back on you a little bit. I'll tell you what would inspire the young generation: a mural on the wall with him winning the MLS Cup. That's
Yeah,
what's
but they still have to.
that is what's gonna inspire. At the end of the day, him shaking hands and being buddy buddy with all the kids and stuff isn't gonna last a lifetime. A mural with him with that trophy on the wall and with the replica trophy in that trophy cabinet is what's going to last a lifetime to those kids.
Mhm.
Nothing else matters. I don't care if he shakes a million hands. I don't care if he shakes one. As long as he wins that trophy, he'll be written in history. He'll inspire the next generation, then generation after.
So my counter argument to that is so what Messi's doing in Miami is better than what Griezmann will do mentoring the next generation.
It'll inspire kids to win.
Yeah, but if
I
the
won't win it. I won't
makeup
win.
and culture of the club it turns into what Miami's turning
It's
into.
a different culture though here than to Miami. We're built off the foundation of losing.
Miami is more than us. They didn't even sniff the playoffs at first. Well,
Yeah,
outside of 2020, but
but
they
I
didn't
get
even
what you mean.
sniff the playoffs.
I get what
If
you
it
mean.
wasn't for one guy bringing his friends in, they still wouldn't have sniffed the playoffs.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's just what would be more inspiring is a trophy cabinet where it's
Inspiring, yes, but impactful. I mean, imagine what the difference between Ellis and Caraballo underneath somebody that is like what we've heard Griezmann is, where he's not afraid to take the younger guys under his wing and it is, gives them a time of day versus, and obviously we're not comparing the skill sets. Messi's on a completely different platform than Griezmann is. But you have somebody or somebody that is just above them and won't give them the time of day, which is seemingly what Messi is.
yeah. But
You know,
I'm not. No, but I'm saying that in the context of I know who Antoine Griezmann is. Like
hmm
he is that. He is not like Messi. He knows what type of player he is.
yeah,
Like if he was like Messi, it'd be a bit different. If he was like Ronaldo, I'd be like, holy shit, he's only there to do what I just said he's gonna do,
hmm
which is win trophies, and that's it. Like
hmm
he's not gonna care, and he's not gonna do anything apart from win and battle, which is who he is. Antoine Griezmann isn't really like that. He needs a team around him, and he needs to rely on people around him to do so. And in that, he will do what he'll do.
hmm
So, yeah, I'm saying that with already the context of knowing of who he is as a player. So,
So, I mean, I'm excited to see what he does on the pitch and who he brings in, who he's able to get to join us.
Tagliafico.
Who?
Tagliafico. He's an Argentinian left back who played for Atletico Madrid. He might I don't know how old he is though, Tagliafico. But I'm thinking around Atletico Madrid players.
Mm.
Where does he play now? He plays for Lyon. He's 33. Ooh, wait, hold on. This might be a good. He's 23. He's played like 19 games this season. He's 33. He's Argentinian left back. He won the World Cup. He was the left back for Argentina.
Okay.
for when they win the World Cup. I wouldn't mind having him. I'm thinking of left backs out there. If there's any left backs out there that want to come to Orlando, we'll sign you.
Then he's on Lille, however you say it.
Leon.
Oh, Leon.
Latest transfer rumor. Played for Ajax and
Leon in Mexico.
what?
And the Mexican
Yeah,
team.
but he's a player that came to mind when I think of left backs who's like I don't really know, like kind of on the edge of young and old. Like youngish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe. Or maybe you'll just go to Miami with Messi.
Probably being Argentinian.
Yeah.
If he even
If he
comes
even
to,
if he even gets along with him.
yeah.
That's another problem is if these players get along with him. So
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's the bad season couldn't have came at a better time because we do have the 2 months off where we can make a coaching adjustment.
yeah. Is there
You know,
anything
we
else on the agenda?
not that I can think of, unless you have more.
Win.
Let's
Let's
stick towards the wall in the second half.
let's kick towards the wall in the second half, why don't we? No, that's it, I think.
Cool.
Um, if you want me to wrap it up, I can wrap it up if you want.
Go for it.
So we just wanted to say thank you for watching another episode of Extra Time. If you have enjoyed it, please let us know your feedback here. If you, again, please subscribe and follow to all of our socials. John's is there on the screen. I don't really use socials, so that's the reason I don't really put mine. But follow like In 90 Minutes podcast on everything else. And what am I missing?
That's it.
Am I missing anything? And if you haven't cried for joy or for sadness in football, please, you haven't enjoyed football. So if you lot have, please leave any comments for me and John to discuss. If you want to join us on this, please send John or the podcast Twitter a DM and we'll get you on.
Really, any of the socials.
Yeah, really any of the socials. But if you want to join us, please join us. We love having interesting discussions with people with opposite opinions or opinions like. So, yeah. Have a good one. John, anything else?
That's it. Vamos Orlando.